Emanuela David through the social media app Instagram. The dentist says David was interested in a set of top and bottom grills that cost 253,000 rand. At the time, the dentist says his clinic was based in Rosebank, Johannesburg. The dentist says David paid 80% of the deposits before coming to the shop for measurements.
Once the grills were finished and I was happy with the fit and this and that, I met with accused number one, delivered the grills, put them in. Once I was happy that they fit and he was happy, he paid his balance and then finished.
The dentist says David gave him verbal consent to post a picture of him wearing the grills on the company's Instagram page. However, the defense says this was done without David's consent. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News, Limpopo.
To this now, reappointed Joburg Transport MMC Kenny Kunene says he intends to pick up where he left off following his return to government. Kunene resigned earlier this year after he was found at the home of Katiso KT Molefe, an alleged underworld figure accused of orchestrating the murder of Oupa Sefuka, better known as DJ Sambodi. He was recently reinstated after an investigation initiated by the Patriotic Alliance cleared him of any wrongdoing. Kunene spoke to journalists about his reappointment today on the sidelines of a service delivery program in Soweto. Alpha Ramashwana has more.
Transport MMC in Johannesburg, Kenny Kunene, kicked off his first day back on the job with a program to fix roads and drainage systems in Soweto. For the past 3 months, the city had no Transport MMC, with Mayor Tata Murero acting in the position. Kunene says he's glad to be back, adding that it's now back to work.
I am in government in the city of Johannesburg. I know how to turn around the city. I've turned around transport department. I've turned around its entities. I know what needs to be done in Johannesburg.
Kunene says he's here to stay.
I am back.
The Patriotic Alliance had threatened to withdraw from the GNU if Kunene was not reappointed as Transport MMC. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, Soweto.
And in Vietnam, thousands of people have been left stranded after floods submerged streets and inundated homes. Authorities say at least 8 people have been killed in weather-related incidents this week. The military has mobilized 30,000 personnel and thousands of boats to join rescue and relief efforts. It used 3 helicopters to drop more than 4 tons of water, instant noodles, dry cake, milk and life jackets to those in flooded parts of Lang Son province. Scientists say human-driven climate change is making extreme weather events like typhoons more deadly and destructive. Gold is trading at $4,036.77 an ounce. The rand is at 17.18 to the dollar, 23.04 to the pound, 19.95 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $65.45 a barrel.
Well, at this stage, if you're traveling through Bedford View heading towards Alex, you can expect about a 30-minute delay N3 northbound between the Geldenes interchange and Gililis due to an earlier accident. Also traveling towards OR Tambo International Airport, that's leaving the Edenville area. There's also slow-moving traffic. Expect about a 20-minute delay. This is on the R24 eastbound. This is approaching Barbara Road.
It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today with isolated showers and thundershowers expected. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 26 and 30 degrees. The top story in EWN, KZN top cop Ntlanhla Mkhwanazi says the access which alleged underworld crime boss Brown Mokgotsi has had to police information is infiltration at its highest.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Relebogile Mabotja.
Live, streaming countrywide
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
minutes after 1 o'clock. Welcome to 7:02 Afternoons with me, Relebogile Mabotja, on this Wednesday, the 8th of October. Kana, we used to call this day hump day. It's the middle of the week. That hump you just need to get over. All right, coming up on the show, I want to find out from you about your first paycheck and what you did with it. We have a very interesting guest that's going to be coming through to chat to us about the report on the first 100 paychecks report. That's what it's called, where it speaks about what the usage was of the first 100 paychecks of young professionals. So it's not just us asking what you did with your first paycheck. And I do recall asking you all, do you remember how much your first paycheck was? But this is around what you did with your first paycheck. And if you could guesstimate what you did with your first 100 paychecks, I definitely want to hear from all of you on that. And then our guest will join us, Zandile Makoba, lead research and insight specialist at Liberty, or consumer economist at Liberty as well. So we can chat about the first 100 paychecks, which I'm assuming many people get themselves a car or into some kind of debt with that paycheck. Then we're going to wrap up the show with a masterclass on private higher education institutions. We're going to be joined by Dr. Andre Abrahams, Executive Dean, Academics at the IIE, or Independent Institute of Education, or also what is known as Emirates. So he'll be joining us and we'll have a conversation around that. And you can already get your questions in early. Get in touch with us, 011 883 0702. SMS us 31702. Tweet at Relebogile M, at Radio 702, using the hashtag 702 Afternoons, and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
702 Afternoons
With Relebogile Mabotja.
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Your first paycheck, do you recall what you did with it? How did you spend it? Then if you are to imagine your first 100 paychecks, let's call it the first few years of your professional career, what you did with your money. Where did that paycheck go? We're going to be joined by Zandile Makoba to discuss the first 100 paychecks report. And when I look at how we live in South Africa, for example, versus how my cousin lives in Europe and what they do with their money is completely different. Because obviously their history is not the same. The things they place value on are not the same. So she is German, is in Germany. And when she started earning her money, it was all about travel. South Africa, I feel, is significantly more capitalist in nature. We like to have, like we know people that have 3-4 cars, like just for fun, not like Laisha, the baki one for transporting. This is the business one. We know people who have things like that. Even the concept of buying property for somebody who's young, it's not a big deal. We come from a history where for us, buying something you own is a huge deal. So the moment you start earning, these are the things we think about. I have 1 or 2 friends who recently got new cars, and it's still so exciting, even though we know it is on a skoloto. What's skoloto? On credit, sorry. The English is disappearing. Even though we know the car's on credit, right? Even though we know in this economy, anybody's car can get repossessed at any time. We're still excited because we place value on those things. And of course, our public system is not quite like it is in other countries. But looking at us as South Africans, what do we do with our first few checks over the first couple of years? I can tell you one thing. The home you live in is also going to determine whether it's more important for you to move out of home or to have transport with your first paycheck, depending how big it is. And I would be so curious to also find out from parents and young people who've had your first paycheck in the past 5 years, let's even say 10 years. What are you doing with those first paychecks? Where is your money going? And for those of us that have had first paychecks 20 plus years ago, what would you have done differently with your first paycheck and your first 100 paychecks? So if we're going to say 100, let's estimate it around 8 years, let's call it 7-8 years of paychecks. What would you do differently? And I think I've shared before on my side that I probably would have stayed home a lot longer. I would have stayed home so much longer, but also, when you're young, you want privacy to jola and go out and not have to explain what time you're coming home and Bani must open the gate for you. It's a lot. But I want to hear from all of you. And I also want to just get an understanding of how priorities have shifted with first paychecks. There are some people who are desperate that when they receive their first paycheck, they don't even see a cent of it. As in, it goes home. It goes home. High, because you went to Gauteng to get a job. There are many people in those positions. So I'd love to hear from all of you. 011 883 0702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
Part of what Israel doesn't realise is that the love for the Palestinians worldwide is far greater than our fear of them. And they are only building it and building it and building it. And Palestine will be liberated and Israel will be held to account. It's just a matter of time, and we will keep speaking. We will keep doing what we need to do. It's part of what humanity is today. And the gauge of humanity is with Palestine at the moment.
Robert Martin, an Australian activist who was arrested and detained by the Israeli forces 6 weeks ago.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
At the heart of global conversations shaping the future, Africa's voice matters more than ever. As Africa's largest bank by assets and lead sponsor of the B20 Summit, Standard Bank Group is proud to spotlight the continent's growth, partnerships and potential on the world stage. Through informed dialogue and powerful partnerships, Standard Bank is driving sustainable growth where it matters most. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
It's that time of the year. Sneezing, itchy, watery eyes, blocked noses and coughs. It's time to live, work, play and sleep allergy-free. For trusted relief for you and your family this allergy season, ask your pharmacist for the Adcock Ingram OTC Allergy Survival Pack. With products like Allergex Non-Drowsy, Cetisit, Levogex and more, we have you covered. Remember, Adcock Ingram OTC. And visit beprepared365.co.za.
Zinzi, the Gen Z. Word on the street is you sold your car.
Yes, and I needed a glow up. Hashtag no hustle, no hassle.
So wait. The influencer got influenced by We Buy Cars.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And they came to me. They checked the car, they gave me an offer. Oh, and they paid me immediately. Easier than an Insta Live, without the weird DMs at 2 a.m.
I didn't understand half of the things you just said, but hey, We Buy Cars. Geared for the glow up, geared for you.
Year in, year out, we're fixing tires faster than a Formula One pit crew. My team is on top of things like tire whisperers. If an unforeseen accident were to happen in my workshop, at least I've got My Way business insurance to keep the wheels turning.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
Your voice.
Your life.
Your afternoon radio.
On 702 Afternoons.
With Relebogile Mabotja.
18 minutes after 1 o'clock, we are going to be joined by Zandile Makoba to chat about the first 100 paychecks report. And this research has been tracking the usage of the first 100 paychecks of young professionals that have entered the workforce. So I'm asking all of you, do you recall what you did with your first paycheck and what did you do with your first 100 paychecks, if you can recall? So that would have been the first, 7 or so years of your life. And looking back, would you do anything differently? And what would you advise young people? 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. Today I'm going to start on X because I have not been showing you guys enough love lately. So on X, one person says, I cannot remember. It was 28 plus years ago. I probably bought clothes. That is our core. Robert says, I gave it to church and another one to my mother. And over time, I went to eat out. The church had helped me a lot during my school days. So I wanted them to use it to help others. My mom, it was a token of appreciation and to say, I'm on my something now. They wrote fit, but I think it's a typo. Mamo Dalane says, I bought so many clothes and just blew it on frivolous things. I always advise people to splurge their first paycheck just to get it out of your system. Simply Manga says, in my culture, when you receive something, especially your earnings, you take it all to your mother. She then gives you back a portion for your essential needs. The belief is that by doing this, your pockets will never run dry. I did that with mine, and I'm happy to share that they lied. Guys, I didn't expect the ending of that. I'm happy to share they lied. What do you mean? Oh my gosh, your voice notes on 072 702 1702.
Hi, Relebogile. It's Rudolph here from Alberton. With my very first paycheck that I got, I took my mom out for pie, chips, and salad and gravy. And up until the day she died, I took her for pie, chips, salad, and gravy every single month. That was the very first thing that I've done.
Why is that so sweet? Like, that is the sweetest thing in the fact that it sounds like you kept it going. Thank you for that.
Good afternoon, Relebogile. This is Selma from Roodepoort. The sizable amount of my first paycheck went towards board and lodging, as demanded by my parents. The rest I used to buy my toiletries and such what, and I also actually saved a little bit, believe it or not. And I only started off on about 120 Rand a month. That was in 1972. End of 1972, after I matriculated. Thanks for a lovely show. Bye.
If only, right? Can you imagine earning 120 Rand a month? Thinking about inflation is just mind-boggling. It really, really is. Larry says, I probably gave most of it to my mom and dad for board and lodging. I just lost the other message, and I'll come back to it shortly in the interim. Vaynant in Florida. Hi, Vaynant.
Hi, Relebogile.
How are you doing?
No, I'm good, and you?
Yes, I'm good. What happened with your first paycheck?
I can remember I started paying boarding. And then, we were 7 children, and things was a bit tough in life for my parents, looking after, bringing up 7 children. So I started buying stuff that I always wanted in life.
Yeah.
Like electronics and bicycle and all that. That's what I spent my first few paychecks on. And then, but you asked me what I could have done different in life. I think I could have invested a lot more.
Listen, I think all of us feel that way, don't you think?
Yeah, but I was, I think, I'm almost turning 50 now, and but your children, your parents aren't always money savvy. I could have made a lot of better financial decisions.
I hear you.
Because I worked for a guy that is the same age as myself, and he's well off. The thing is, he made the right decisions from the start.
Oh man, Vaynant. Okay, it sounds like we were losing Vaynant towards the end, but being one of many children and choosing to send it home, I'm sure is going to be quite a common theme in this conversation. Kamano says, I bought my mom, I guess, perfume. The rest, I honestly don't remember what I did with it. And then we have Mbuiselo Vilagazi, who says, we didn't have a tap or running water at home in the village. I hired people to do the process for us to have running water. That right there, I mean, that is an amazing thing to do with your first paycheck. Some of your WhatsApp messages are as follows. I spent my entire first paycheck on North Face jacket from Cape Union Mart. That was 20 years ago. Those are expensive and they still very much are. But I'm pretty sure you were eyeing it for a long time. And I love also the people who are like, I spoiled myself with it. Isn't it nice with your first paycheck to be like, it's nice to eat my own money until you eat through all your own money. Now you want to eat other people's money. Anonymous says, Relebogile, mine went straight to the household. No one else is working. I enabled adults to depend on me, and hence I'm still in debt with nothing to show. I'm so sorry, Anonymous. That sounds like quite a tough position and cycle, I would say, you're finding yourself in. The beauty, Anonymous, is that it's never too late to change your mind. And it ends up not just being about the money, but the fact that you need to work through the guilt of, you know, I have to send money to these people because nobody's working. And because you use the word enabled, I'm assuming it's not a positive situation for why it is that they aren't working and relying on you. But remember, you are the one keeping the cycle going. So once you have dealt with all the emotional things that you need to, you will eventually do what you need to, whether that's cutting them off or fully making peace with it. And making peace means you do it with zero resentment, zero frustration. But in the case of you right now, you're in debt. That does not make mathematical sense or even sense in the space of mental health. So I wish you the best with that situation. Jabulani in Broncospruit, hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks, and you?
I'm all right, thank you.
Yes.
You want to know what I did with my first paycheck?
Yes.
I gave it to my baby mama.
You gave it to the mother of your child or children?
No, child.
Child.
At that time, we were not married.
Yes.
We were just off school and everything. And I gave the first paycheck in totality to her to take care of the baby.
What a man. What a guy.
That was 36 years ago.
Jabulani, now I hope and pray that was not the last. Ne?
No, after that, no. After that, we got married and we were together. And
I love it.
No,
I love it.
But, you know, that's why I even up to today, I remember exactly what I did with my first paycheck.
And I'm sure she was extremely grateful that that's the choice that you made.
No, she was grateful. Relebogile, there's a second thing that I want to talk about. You know, when we talk about your first salary and all that,
yes,
and where they say, give it to your parents,
and
then they give something back to you. You know what? As a culture and where we come from as black people, trust me, it's true. It happened.
So why is that guy saying that it was a lie? His pockets are empty, basically. It was a lie.
No, it's not a lie. Trust me, it's not a lie. As much as I gave my first check to my baby mama, after that, I gave it to my parents, and then they said to me, tell you what, take, I think at that time, I mean, it was 30 years ago, it was probably about 600 rands. They took 100 rands and said, the 500 rands, you go, you take care of your child, and you take care of yourself.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And that's how I've raised my children as well. As they work, the first paycheck, they bring it home, and I don't take everything. I might even take 50 rands, but the rest, I give it back to them. And they go and sort themselves out.
Halala Papa le husband. Jabulani in Broncospruit, thank you so much for your call. Afternoon 7:02, my first paycheck. I got pickpocketed as I was traveling by train, and as the train was making a transfer from one to the other, rushing out of the train, that's when my money disappeared. Yo, Peter, you donated your first paycheck, basically, is what I'm hearing. I would be heartbroken. Imagine you worked for your first paycheck, Yo, I am so sorry. Hi, Relebogile, hope you are good. Lerato here in Meadowlands. My first paycheck went to my granny back in 2002. And my 100 ones, no clue what happened. I'm learning to track my spending daily, but clearly not too disciplined. Have a great day. Thank you so much. Another one says, Relebogile, my first salary was as a full-time barman in 1983. It was 400 Rand and I spent it all on cloths that included a pair of slacks, a jacket, a tie, and Crockett and Jones shoes. I had never had so much money as I had been serving on 50 Rand a month the previous year. Keep in mind it's 1983, but it is still mind-boggling. Hi, I'm Ntombi. My first paycheck, I threw a graduation party for myself as UNISA 2015 cancelled it due to free education strike. Good for you. Oh, man. Can we relive my first paycheck too? So I can also do cool things. I'm loving the things you are all sharing. But let's continue. 011 883 0702. The WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. It's 1:30, time for your latest Eyewitness News headlines. What's happening with the Para trial?
Well, Relebogile, a very good afternoon. A popular social media dentist has testified in the Pala trial that he was paid more than 250,000 Rand to make grills for one of the accused. Grills are removable dental jewellery usually made with expensive metal like gold or silver. Testifying at the Modimolle Regional Court in Limpopo, the dentist says they were requested by accused number 1, Emanuela David. Reappointed Joburg Transport MMC Kenny Kunene says he intends to pick up where he left off following his return to government. Kunene resigned earlier this year after he was found at the home of Katiso KT Molefe, an alleged underworld figure accused of orchestrating the murder of Oupa Sefokwa, popularly known as DJ Sambodi. He was recently reinstated after an investigation initiated by the PA cleared him of any wrongdoing. While in Vietnam, thousands of people have been left stranded after floods submerged streets and inundated their homes. Authorities say at least 8 people have been killed in weather-related incidents this week. The military has mobilized 30,000 personnel and thousands of boats to join rescue and relief efforts. Those are the headlines, this EWN and more at 2 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage, if you are traveling through the Ekurhuleni area, that's in Isando, Kempton Park, heading towards OR Tambo International Airport, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic. R24 eastbound, that's approaching Barbara Road due to roadworks. Also in Edenville, traffic heavily backed up, that's heading towards Bedford View. R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Gilulis interchange. In Bedford View, also expect about a 30-minute delay, that's heading towards Midrand. N3 northbound between the Galdenays interchange and Gilulis. This is due to an earlier accident. And in Selby, that's leaving the Joburg CBD. There's some traffic pressure. And this is on Main Reef Road between Anderson and Church Street. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
FNB is celebrating 25 years of the FNB Premier account, which has been offering customers real value beyond banking. This includes lifestyle benefits like fuel, grocery, health and beauty and clothing discounts, plus travel booking benefits and earning rewards back on device and appliances purchases. So to celebrate, FNB Premier will be sponsoring this show every weekday for the next 13 weeks. Every Friday, FNB Premier Friday brings you jam-packed afternoons with your Friday favorites, including the food feature, Unplugged, and the upside of failure, all brought to you by FNB Premier. Something else FNB Premier is doing to celebrate 25 years of helping you live the Premier life is giving you the chance to win a 14-day Europe tour experience and other incredible monthly prizes. To enter, open any Premier account, switch your salary, and swipe or tap a minimum of 2,000 Rand per month for 3 months straight. Visit fnb.co.za or download the FNB app For more information about the competition or to switch to an FNB Premier account, T's and C's apply. FNB celebrating 25 years of helping you live the Premier life.
Feel the exhilarating power and performance. Feel the anticipation of a new adventure around every corner. Feel the breathtaking wonder of Mzansi's epic scenery. Feel the luxe vibes and the good times. Feel it all and more with the Ultimate Shell V-Power VIP experience. Spend 750 rands 3 times this month and tap your V Plus rewards card for a chance to win one of 5 epic road trip and trek experiences for 2. T's and C's apply.
This week, the 6th to the 10th of October is International Customer Service Week. Catch 702 in conversation with MTN this Friday on 702 Drive with John Perlman as they unpack how they're transforming the customer experience. From fighting fraud to simplifying services and fixing frustrations, MTN is listening, learning, and making moves that matter. It's all part of their journey to make life easier for customers. Don't miss it. This Friday on 702 Drive with John Perlman. MTN, today we make moves on 702.
Got your attention? That's the power of advertising.
Prime Media is SA's leading media company, giving you unmatched reach across radio, audio, video, and digital. That's what you'll experience at the Prime Impact Sales event.
In Joburg, 3 to 7 November. Cape Town, 10 to 13 November. Register and receive a free demo commercial, a custom campaign, and access to exclusive partnerships.
Seats are filling fast. Register today at primeimpact.co.za. Your voice.
Your life.
Your afternoon radio.
On 702 Afternoons.
With Relebogile Mabotja.
24 minutes to 2 o'clock. We have been having a conversation around your first paycheck. As we are going to be getting into a conversation around the first 100 paychecks report that speaks to what young professionals have been doing with their first 100 paychecks since entering the workforce. And you've all been sharing your first paycheck stories. Some of you say you don't know where the 100 paychecks went, but I also am looking forward to more of your advice for young people who are getting to that space of not just their first paycheck, but their first 100 paychecks as this world is evolving. And as they say, youth is wasted on the young. I have to be honest, there's quite a bit of money I think I've wasted in my life. I think I could have saved a lot more. As I said, if I could have stayed at home longer, I probably would have stayed longer. Just last week, I was expressing how I wouldn't mind going back home to be a child again. And then my son must just be a child with me in the house because it's a lot. 011 883 0702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 and 702. One person says, "Hi Relebogile, my first paycheck, I bought Simba chips pack, that is the beef flavor, because my ex dumped me for not affording them before. While eating them, I realized that I was dumped for nothing, for mahala more. Those things were not even delicious." Ishmael in Boxburg. How, Ishmael? I thought you're going to be like, it was so satisfying. Some of these stories. Mine went straight to the household. No one else is working. Okay, we already touched on that one. Let's go to Facebook, where I asked Mama Cici says, "I gave it to my uncle because I was told so by the elders. I wonder if you regret it." Mamli Wahale Lacha says, "Black tax, and I don't regret every penny I spent on my mother." Tuso says, "That is confidential, can't share." Pritchard says, "I bought 2 cows for my mother. We slaughtered one as a sacrifice for raising me because we believe in Isintu, as in culture, where the blessings come from." Dumi says, "I gave God my first fruit. Remember thy God. He is the one that giveth power to make wealth." Nkule says, "Rent, tithe, food, and a second-hand bar fridge." Mpasi says, "I bought myself full furniture and left my parents' house. I needed to breathe and have my own space." I think many people feel that way. Silailo says, "I blew it." That is hilarious that you just blew it. Nati says, "I sent it back home to my now late grandmother." Ntsane says, "From the first job I got, always went straight to my mom, and because she's always taken care of us, it felt like, okay, as a team, that's what you must do. Even to this day, they get their 25 percentage share of my salary. Good for you. Shez says, I took a large portion of it to church to thank God for giving me a job. And that is what they are saying there. And as we continue with the conversation, we're going to be welcoming onto the show our guests shortly to chat about this report. But more messages. One here reads as follows. I have a cousin who bought himself purity yabana because with the kind of poverty they were exposed to, he's not sure if he had it when he was a baby. You know, I get it. Firstly, I went through a phase of enjoying like guava flavored purity, just tasted like dessert. But I get it. Because when you have adult money and there's certain things you never got to have as a kid, like go buy them, experience it, have it. I have it. Relebogile, advice to those starting their work journey: save, save, save. Don't try and keep up with everyone else. They're living in debt. That is from Paula. And another person says, hi Relebogile and team, my first paycheck, I took my mom to OK and bought 2 full trolleys. Groza. The remaining, I bought myself a new bed. That was in 1990. That is from Connie. Thank you so much, Connie, for sharing that. I'd now like to welcome into the conversation our guest, Zandile Makoba, who is consumer economist at Liberty, to chat to us about the first 100 paychecks report. Zandile, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
So a very common theme that's been shared with everybody is how their first paychecks went home. Some still continue sharing a percentage of their paychecks to their homes. Many people are saying they really should have invested and saved better, looking back at probably their first 100 paychecks. But I'm curious because the people that are responding, some were referring to salaries of 50 Rand a month. So you can guess how far back that was, Zandile.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago. I mean, we've got a person here who says my first month's pay with a 4-year degree was 750 Rand per month. So 100 months later, being 8 years later, I was earning about 4,500 Rand a month, but got free housing. So that was spent on all things associated with having a wife and 2 kids in nappies. I was retrenched about then and was without a job for a year, and I kept us going being a spouse before I got another monthly salary that was significant. When I asked my boss why he employed me, he said it was because I survived a year without a job. Wow. God does for sure provide, is what the person is saying. So Zandile, before we even jump into the report, what did you do with your first 100 paychecks?
You know, I was so eager to be that smart graduate that one of the first things I did was try to look at savings options, things like union, like the Satrix All Share,
yes,
that kind of thing. That was my thing because I had now studied this economics degree. I needed to prove that, I learned something. And so that is one of the first things I did. But yeah, that in itself became a wake-up call because life is expensive. And I think that first paycheck, one of the big milestones that we will all go through is just that reality check between what your salary can give you and what life really costs.
I mean, I can't find where I saw the message. I saw it somewhere that said that their first paycheck, the first thing they did was withdraw it, all 300 Rand of it, just so they can hold the money in their hands. And I can so relate to that because seeing numbers on an app or like on a website or on a slip from the ATM doesn't quite feel real. But let's jump into the report. Zandile, firstly, why was this report done?
That's a very good question. And I think it's realizing that there are a lot of changes in the working environment today that are going to determine what future careers look like, that will determine what future earnings look like. The other part is also just realizing that this is a significant portion of our population. So graduates contribute the skills to the economy. They also then are the wealth generators in the economy. And what they're doing with their income determines a lot as to how well we might grow in the future. So we were quite interested in really appreciating what new graduates and what new professionals are doing, how they're navigating the unknown, and most importantly, how we as a financial service provider can help them on that very difficult and complicated journey.
Oh, and I'm glad that you are saying that, because it is really complex. You were saying that life is expensive, but life is also extremely unpredictable. I mean, just, what was it, a month ago, we had 2 funerals at home, and, you know, hey, can everybody gazata, contribute? And just like that, unbudgeted, you're sending a few thousands for something that is in something that is required at home. So we're going to take a break, Zandile. When we come back, we're going to start to get into the details, and maybe we can walk out of this with a better understanding, particularly for the younger people who are now entering the workforce and looking at where the money is going. But also, maybe we need to re-look our own systems in our own lives, understanding the system we're living in today.
John Perlman. Weekday afternoons,
3 to 6.
How much support do you think you have in Israel? If there were to be some kind of referendum, it could take the form of the election. What do you think the majority of Israelis would say is a way forward? Would a substantial number be behind the vision that you're sharing with us?
For me, it doesn't really matter where the Israeli people are now at the moment, marking the 2nd anniversary of October 7.
Yes.
What I care the most is where they can be in the future. And I know the Israeli people and public opinion in general is a very, very...
John Perlman.
3 to 6 on 702.
It's spring, SA, and here at DecoFern, we say it's time to say yes. Say yes to new friends. Yes to new adventures. Will you marry me?
Yes!
And definitely say yes to a few new things.
Welcome to DecoFern.
Say yes to awesome savings at the DecoFern Furniture Spring Sale, with up to 35% off on outdoor furniture and much more. In store now or at decofernsa.co.za.
It all starts with advice from FNB Private. Because the perfect overseas trip starts with planning. Save and spend in multiple currencies with your FNB Global account and lock in exchange rates. Enjoy up to 40% off flights with eBucks Travel and order Forex on the FNB app delivered to you at no extra cost. Your adventure awaits. Unlock invaluable with FNB Private. Help changes everything. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized FSP and credit provider. TC's earn rules and limits apply.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We are also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comments, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we are not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission. Email bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more, visit bccsa.co.za. 702 Finance Feature.
12 minutes to 2 o'clock. We are continuing with our talk, but also officially entering our finance feature for today, where we talk about the first 100 paychecks report, where the research has been tracking the usage of the first 100 paychecks of young professionals that have just entered the workforce. And I've been chatting to all of you about your first paycheck, what you did with it and why, and where you think the 100 paychecks went. 011 883 0702 in the WhatsApp line, 072 702 and 702. We're joined by Zandile Makoba, consumer economist at Liberty. So Zandile, let's jump into the details of this report and what the findings are. And of course, who were the people that you were tracking?
Oh, absolutely. So what we were tracking and looking at was people who had gone through the tertiary education system in South Africa and have come out the other end and eventually are involved in some kind of economic activity, be it they are employed in a place of work or are self-employed and have started a business. We wanted to see the trajectory that they've followed in order to get to the other side and how navigating those first couple of years of work have been. So your 100th paycheck is around your 8th year of working, which is quite interesting because a lot of careers and professions might have 2 or 3 years of articles before you eventually become established and are really starting to be a firm person within that role or within that career path. And so we wanted to really get a sense of what's happening career-wise, but also what's happening at home. What are you spending on? How are you creating future wealth? What are the people that you are surrounding yourselves with? What are the ambitions that you are planning for your life?
Ooh, asking some big and pertinent questions. I'm curious to find out about the age group, because with the unemployment rate being what it is, we don't expect people to be starting that early. I mean, I started at 17, and many of the listeners were sharing. Some started at 16. One person says they got tired of asking their parents for money, so at 15 they got a job at Spur. But times have changed in terms of the age group of people entering the workforce.
No, definitely. And I think we are very invested, not only in South Africa, but globally, in terms of educating and skilling ourselves a lot of the time. So, yeah, a lot of people do start work maybe after matric or even before. But globally, we are seeing this move towards a knowledge economy and a great demand for skilled individuals across all types of industry, from agriculture to finance and so on. We do also have this conundrum in South Africa where we have a skills shortage on one hand, but also seemingly a challenge in terms of absorbing skills. So we've seen over the past couple of years how we've seen this rise in unemployed graduates, the latest number now being around 12%, which has increased from about 6% in 2008. So a lot of people were starting to maybe question the value of education, whether it's worth going to university or tech, because what if you spend all that money and energy and eventually find yourself still sitting at home? But yeah, our participants, 80% of them saying that yes, education was definitely worthwhile. Most of them either in middle or upper income households today. And we are really seeing that while the outcomes of having gone through the education system have been very fruitful, it is a journey that only allows a few in. So if we just go back to grade 1, for every 100 students that started in grade 1, only 12 of them will actually go into a tertiary institution, and then only 4 are actually going to graduate. So you'll see that over the years, just to get past that level of upskilling yourself, it's not a simple task. And then, of course, the new mountain begins, which is making a success of this qualification that you have now acquired.
Sure, and I think the fall-off rate is I think, significantly greater than any of us would have thought, meaning that those 100 children entering school, only 4 of them will graduate. Now the question is, of those 4, how many are getting a job? Because I would estimate 1.
So, yeah, the graduate unemployment rate is sitting at around 12%. It is significantly lower than the overall unemployment rate, which ranges between 30 and 40%, depending on which statistics you're looking at. So there is definitely a challenge in terms of getting employed as graduates, but it is still the best chance of employment and earning potential in South Africa and globally. The positive side here is that it also opens so many doors. Once you have an education, and in fact a South African tertiary education, the world becomes your oyster. There are so many opportunities abroad that favor South Africans and favor South African graduates. So it actually does create a lot more chances for one to explore. But yeah, the flip side of that as well is a lot of graduates come out the other end and have a whole bunch of new questions to ask themselves. There are careers out there that they've never heard about. There are opportunities that never existed. And for this cohort that we looked at, which was people aged 30 to 38, they've started their careers during recession. And then there was COVID. And now there's AI. So there's always something kind of, threatening your job or threatening your role or your potential to earn. And it's just so interesting to see how they all look at navigating these crazy paths.
Okay, I'm fascinated by the gender pay gap in this report, which I guess many of us would imagine that as we go about and a new generation comes in, that things would change. Can you maybe share some findings on that?
So we did see that our male counterparts in, similar jobs are still earning notably more than females doing the same jobs. And this is something I think that is quite shocking and possibly disappointing to many because we've been through this so many times. There's a lot of effort going into creating gender equity in the workplace, opportunities through affirmative action and so on to create space for women in the workplace. But it just goes to show how strong history can be in terms of, establishing cultures within the workplace and making it possibly easier for males to continue to thrive better than females in the workplace. The other challenge that we're seeing when it comes to the gender conversation is that we still at the home level have a greater burden of care being placed on females. So women remain the children caregivers, the caregivers of our elderly, the people who kind of take care of the home. Even if there's a nanny involved, there's much more participation of the female figure in home environments, which can take away from career development and long-term earnings. So those two things are in play. And you'll remember a few years back when we had the whole COVID conversation, it really crystallized the differentials that we see in the home environment, how being at home really created more work and more burden for females at a time when no one was actually going to the office. So we are seeing some of those trends persisting beyond the COVID period.
There are so many things that one can really look into with these interesting stats. Where can people find this report if they'd like to go through it?
We encourage you to please contact the UCT Liberty Institute of Strategic Marketing. So that is our key research partner, which is UCT. We are, partnering with experts in this space. Don't believe me. I'm in the financial world. I might be trying to convince you to do something you don't want to do. But that is where the research resides. And it's very critical, I think, not just for the financial services sector, but across different sectors, for us to really participate and use these insights to really respond to the consumer needs. One of the big things that comes out of this research is this emerging adulthood phase that is coming in between graduation and eventually becoming an established person within your career path. And it is in this time that a lot of self-development happens for our young graduates. They might be upskilling themselves and furthering their education, but they're also spending on better clothes for the office, car, and so on.
So what we'll do, Zandile, because we have run out of time, The report is called An Investigation into South Africa's New Professionals. Just do a simple Google search and you'll be able to find it there.
In Africa, we say the chameleon looks in all directions before moving. At Plus 94 Research, we understand the importance of careful consideration. By analyzing comprehensive data and diverse perspectives, we help you make informed decisions that stand the test of time. Don't leap without looking. Move forward with insight and precision. Plus 94 Research, the science of decision making.
Phishing, quishing, smishing, so many ishings. Aibo, scammers are doing the most these days. From dodgy SMSs to fake QR codes, hacked WhatsApps and calls asking for your PIN. If it ends in ishing, stay alert. It's probably ishing your money. Scams can happen anywhere. And if unsure, contact ABSA on 0860 557 557. Protect your money. Protect your story. ABSA, your story matters. An authorized financial services provider.
Weekdays on the highway, weekends on the trail, in rain, on tar, or halfway up a gravel pass. With the new Bridgestone Jeweler All-Terrain AT002, you don't have to choose. Bridgestone, prepared to perform whatever the terrain.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. Acting Police Minister Feroz Kachalia says he is not yet satisfied with a provincial agreement to deal with gangsterism in the Western Cape because it's not specific enough. With gang-related murders up 18% compared to the same time last year, Kachalia has described the situation as a crisis that is tearing communities apart. Today, the SAPS has presented a national operation plan to Parliament to deal with the issue. Lindsay Dentlinger reports.
490 gang-related deaths have been recorded in the province between April and September, 23 of them under the age of 18 and 5 under the age of 14. Acting Police Minister Feroz Kachalia has told the Select Committee on Security and Justice the nitty-gritty of the plan cannot be shared in a public forum.
I believe in this plan. What is going to be critical is how it's implemented over time, and here I think public accountability will be important, but also trust between communities and the police.
The plan presented to the committee today includes bolstering policing by deploying officers from outside of the province. Kachalia says it will also include intelligence capabilities which have been lacking in the past.
The resources are now being made available to assist the Provincial Commissioner in his efforts.
He says strengthening community policing will be critical to the success of the plan. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
In the courts now, a popular dentist has testified in the Phala trial that he was paid more than 250,000 rand to make grills for one of the accused. Grills are removable dental jewellery, usually made with expensive metal like gold or silver. Testifying at the Modimolle Regional Court in Limpopo, the dentist says they were requested by accused number 1, Emanuela David. David, along with siblings Froliana and Dilanasha Joseph, are accused of breaking and entering into President Cyril Ramaphosa's farm in 2020 and stealing $580,000 in cash. Tabiso Koba reports.
The dentist says in February 2021, he was contacted by Emanuela David through the social media app Instagram. The dentist says David was interested in a set of top and bottom grills that cost 253,000 rand. At the time, the dentist says his clinic was based in Rosebank, Johannesburg. The dentist says David paid 80% of the deposits before coming to the shop for measurements.
Once the grills were finished and I was happy with the fit and this and that, I met with accused number 1, delivered the grills, put them in. Once I was happy that they fit and he was happy, he paid his balance and then finished.
The dentist says David gave him verbal consent to post a picture of him wearing the grills on the company's Instagram page. However, the defense says this was done without David's consent. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News, Limpopo.
Basic Education Minister Siphiwe Gwagube says admin delays during the verification of attendance registers resulted in the recent payment delays affecting education assistants and general school assistants. Gwagube explained that the verification process is a mandatory measure to ensure that government funds are paid to individuals who are actively reporting for duty. She says these safeguards are crucial to avoid corruption and to ensure accountability. Gwagube says an internal investigation revealed that some registers were not uploaded in full by its set deadline.
This verification is a mandatory step to ensure that government funds are not paid to ghost workers or even people who are no longer showing up for work to provide the services that they are paid for. We all know too well that well-meaning projects are often infiltrated and compromised by corrupt elements which we wish to fleece the state.
To this now, reappointed Joburg Transport MMC Kenny Kunene says he intends to pick up where he left off following his return to government. Kunene resigned earlier this year after he was found at the home of Katiso KT Molefe, an alleged underworld figure accused of orchestrating the murder of Oupa Sefoka, better known as DJ Sambodi. He was recently reinstated after an investigation initiated by the Patriotic Alliance cleared him of any wrongdoing. Kunene spoke to journalists about his reappointment today on the sidelines of a service delivery program in Soweto. Alfara Mushwana has that story.
Transport MMC in Johannesburg, Kenny Kunene, kicked off his first day back on the job with a program to fix roads and drainage systems in Soweto. For the past 3 months, the city had no Transport MMC, with Mayor Tata Murero acting in the position. Kunene says he's glad to be back, adding that it's now back to work.
I am in government in the city of Johannesburg. I know how to turn around the city. I've turned around transport department. I've turned around its entities. I know what needs to be done in Johannesburg.
Kunene says he's here to stay.
I am back.
The Patriotic Alliance had threatened to withdraw from the GNU if Kunene was not reappointed as Transport MMC. Alfa Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, Soweto.
And in Vietnam, thousands of people have been left stranded after floods submerged streets and inundated homes. Authorities say at least 8 people have been killed in weather-related incidents this week. The military has mobilized 30,000 personnel and thousands of boats to join rescue and relief efforts. It used 3 helicopters to drop more than 4 tons of water, instant noodles, dry cake, milk and life jackets to people in flooded parts of Langson province. Scientists say human-driven climate change is making extreme weather events like typhoons more deadly as well as destructive. Gold is trading at $4,036.76 an ounce. The rand is at 17.18 to the dollar, 23.05 to the pound, 19.96 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $65.45 a barrel.
Well, at this stage, if you're driving through Bedfordview heading towards Alexandra, there's about a 30-minute delay. This is on the N3 northbound between the Haldenays interchange and Gilulis. Also further up at the N3, but this is on the opposite direction, N3 southbound in the Calvin area heading into Alexandra. There's roadwork slowing down traffic. This is between the Patlu interchange and Marlborough Drive, and also leaving the Joburg CBD, there's slow-moving traffic. M1 southbound between Empire and the Crown interchange.
It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today with isolated showers and thundershowers expected. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 26 and 30 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. Acting Police Minister Feroz Kachalia says he's not yet satisfied with a provincial agreement to deal with gangsterism in the Western Cape.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Relebogile Mabotja.
Live, streaming countrywide
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
minutes after 2 o'clock, the second and final hour of 7:02 afternoons with me, Relebogile Mabotja. And we're going to be jumping into our masterclass for today. We're chatting private higher education institutions, and we'll be joined by Dr. Andre Abrahams, Executive Dean at Ameris, for the conversation. Get in touch with us. Give us a call, 011 883 0702, SMS us 31702, tweet at Relebogile M at Radio 702 using the hashtag 702 afternoons and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
702
Masterclass.
This masterclass with me, Relebogile Mabotja, is proudly brought to you by Ameris. Introducing Ameris, the new force in higher education on 702. And they officially launched on the 18th of September. Ameris bringing together the IIE's Varsity College, IIE MSA, IIE Vega School, and IIE School of Hospitality and Service Management. The unification under a single name allows them to consolidate resources and expertise, enabling them to improve the delivery of educational services across enhanced campuses. So today on this masterclass, we're speaking to Dr. Andre Abrahams, the Executive Dean of Ameris, who will tell us a bit more about the benefits of studying at Ameris, a private university that gets you real world ready by the time you graduate, only here on 702. Welcome to the show, Doctor. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
You really don't look like a dean.
Thank you.
If people are not sure what I'm talking about, please go to our YouTube channel and you can see what he looks like live in studio. Because I think we always imagine a dean to be an elderly individual, or let me say not as youthful as what you are, possibly a beard. You know, that gray that says, yeah, he's informed, he's knowledgeable. But he does not look like that at all. So come through.
I appreciate that. I wore a shirt for you today, so I'm glad that you still see the youth coming through. The shirt is for you. But yeah, I get that a lot. I'm trying to convince my wife I look youthful. But yeah, no, excited. And I do get that a lot. So thank you.
Okay, I need to ask you before we jump into the details about Ameris and how all these, higher education institutions came together. What do you think the current view is of private higher institutions or private universities? Because I think there was a period, and my numbers would probably be off, but there was a period over a couple of years where people would be like, don't go there, or schools were closing down, or they'd be like, I studied, now it's time for exams, it's shut down. So there might have been a loss of trust in some of the private institutions. I wanted to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement to make. I think what we have seen is steady growth in that private space. I think students are trying to find alternatives to the traditional public spaces, not only because there's limited space in those spaces, but also knowing that there's a real quality product that's coming out of that private space. And you're right, one of our biggest challenges is trust, and we don't often have the legacy that comes with some of the big institutions. So there's work that needs to be done in terms of convincing that the product is equal, or if not better, in some instances, that there is an alternative. We are doing things differently, and that comes with certain advantages for our students as well.
One of the things I definitely do appreciate about some of the institutions that are coming in are the ones that truly specialize. I mean, you look at Vega, for example, or the School of Hospitality and Service Management, which has serviced so many individuals, including people that have come to our food feature that tell us where they trained. And I'm wondering, with those type of specialities, is there a possibility at all that with everything being consolidated into one, the ones that were really strong get diluted in this new holding home device situation? Sorry, my English today is not Englishing very much, but yes, get consolidated in the new school.
Look, I think that was always going to be something that we were going to be very cautious of. Our Vega brand is a very strong name in the industry. And when you bring, all of these brands together under one umbrella, there's always that possibility. But we've been very deliberate. Although, we're being housed under one umbrella, we still want to keep that true identity of those particular spaces, like our HSM Hospitality School, like Vega. So if you look at the structure of Emerus, we've got our 5 traditional faculties, but we've also got our Vega school that sits outside of that. So although they'll be on our campuses, they'll have their own building. We will still do things the Vega way. The approach to curriculum within the Vega spaces, how we design the classes, that will remain. So it's a fresh start for something like Vega and HSM, but also some of the strong traditions that has held it in good stead. Those things will remain.
So, as the newly appointed executive dean, can you share with us just around your experience in private higher education and what in particular drew you to this field?
So I actually started in the public space.
Yes.
Started off as a lecturer, and that's where I found my passion for being in the class and the passion for being with students, and also where I realized that we've got to do things differently. That the traditional way of doing things, it's not always the best way of doing it, and so I try to change it internally within my own classes, try to convince my colleagues to do the same, and sometimes that was really hard to do because traditions live long. So then decided to do my PhD, particularly focusing
I
on...
really need to understand people who do PhDs.
Look, there's a problem with them.
I need to ask, do you know that you don't have to do one? I'm just asking.
Look, I know people who have done 2.
Oh my God.
So it's a special journey.
2 PhDs.
I know colleagues that have done 2. Yeah.
Okay, I'll get my honorary doctorate because respect to the people who have the stamina for doing all of that. And in terms of all of that experience, what would you say you've seen different between public and private? Because obviously there are pros and cons to both.
Yeah, they are. I think a key difference is you'll notice class sizes are significantly different. The cohort of lecturers that are in the private space, particularly for something like Emerus, a big focus is on that industry expert transitioning and being in our classrooms, and we find that to be very important. And then we have the opportunity to do things differently. So we are often challenging that traditional space of what a lecture room should look like, what we expect of a lecturer within that classroom is very different in the public spaces. I know they are changing.
Yeah.
But for us, we want to do an alternative way to that, so that our classes are active spaces of learning and that students can truly enjoy that experience.
All right, we're going to take a break and I want to hear from all of you. 011 883 0702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. What are the stark differences, or let's say, what are the challenges you've experienced in the public institutions, and what questions do you have around this particular private institution? Because as we are aware, we have challenges with space, and these spaces, the more education spaces there are, public or private, the better. 011 883 0702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
The Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee into the allegations made by Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi kicked off. It is a platform of politicians. What I can guarantee you is that we are about to watch a spectacle. So what are they going to do? They're going to take this moment to subtly campaign for their own political parties. It's the very same parliament that ignored the same information that Mkhwanazi gave them a few months ago. Now that the cameras are going to be on them,
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
For the best marine migration, you go to KZN. For the best hiking trails, you go to the Drakensberg. For the best flower show, you go to Namakwaland. And for the best in investments, go to Nedbank. Earn up to 10.47% interest with a Nedbank Electronic Optimum Plus account. For better returns, open an Electronic Optimum Plus account today. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
At Anglo American, we mine more than minerals. We mine possibility and progress with purpose. For over a century, we have been part of South Africa's story, investing in our country's potential and unlocking opportunities together. This year alone, through our Kumba Iron Ore business, we've invested 25.9 billion rand into South Africa. This includes infrastructure development, education and healthcare, community upliftment, and more. Follow us on our social media channels, Anglo American South Africa, and join the conversation. Anglo American, mining potential, building beyond.
Zahira was tired. So tired, she let her eyes rest a bit. It was bad. So bad. She replaced 4 hours of spreadsheets with... It was bad. So bad. Too bad she didn't have Yoko Counter. It automatically recon sales, tracks stock, and staff performance. So good. Yoko Counter. Super simple POS and payments in one. No contracts, no hidden costs.
As South Africa assumes the G20 presidency in 2025, 702 and Standard Bank Group bring you exclusive conversations with the voices shaping Africa's economic future.
The G20 has really, I think, provided us with a number of platforms to be able to engage across a wide range of stakeholders. And I think one of the areas that this is very helpful in is around being able to engage in advocacy for an enabling environment. If we look at the task force that the infrastructure and finance task force that the group has been involved in, it's really thinking about how we can unlock capital for sustainable infrastructure development and inclusive growth. And so we have really used this as an opportunity to bring the stakeholders together.
Brought to you by Standard Bank Group on 702. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
The Masterclass with Relebogile Mabotja on 702.
Brought to you by Emirates. Education for real-world ready graduates.
20 minutes after 2 o'clock, we continue our masterclass that has been brought to you by Emirates, and we're in conversation with Executive Dean of Emirates, Dr. Andre Abrahams. We take your calls with your questions, 011 883 0702 in the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. Doctor, just in terms of matriculants who are now obviously preparing to get ready for their exams and they're thinking about their options for furthering their studies. We've already touched on the difference between public and private sector. But if you were to say these are the 3 key reasons we would say you must come here, what would you say?
Look, I think we found a really good balance to bridge the gap between learning and action. And if you are, coming into a higher education institution, you're coming there as an investment into yourself. You're thinking about that future career. You're thinking about getting into the world of work. And we believe we've got a model to do that. Like I said, we've got experts in the classroom. We've got a robust curriculum that is reflective of the needs in industry. And we measure our success on whether our graduates are working or not. I think we in a sector that we often applaud high graduation rates, which is good, but we can't stop there. Success for us looks like our graduates are in the spaces influencing where they want to be, whether that's be, working or creating work for others. And I think that's going to be important when you consider, what institution you want to go to.
Where do you see and how do you see private higher education evolving? AI is no longer a future conversation. It's a very real existence. I'm even wondering if we're going to start to see a generation that doesn't even see a need for tertiary education.
Yeah, I think that's a fair problem that's come with AI. I think one thing we've realized is, that narrow debate whether students should be using AI or whether lecturers should be using AI, that debate's far gone, and we've accepted that debate's moved on. Where we are now is debating now that it's part of our infrastructure, much like Wi-Fi. What do we do with this? How do we leverage this technology? How do we empower our students to leverage that technology within the particular disciplines that they are in? And I think, from a private perspective, we're ahead of the game when it comes to that. We've already invested greatly into that edtech ecosystem space. And that's going to be it. That's going to be where the future of education is. So, I think many graduates or students coming into the space might wonder, look, do I need this tertiary space? And that's fair. But you are going to have to equip yourselves with the skills for that environment. You're going to have to be a digital literate person, regardless of what industry you go in and where you're going to get those skills. You are going to be able to have to use those skills within industry, and how you're going to learn to use that. And we provide the spaces for that.
I actually saw a video of a student in a lecture hall. It might have somewhere abroad. But that day, the lecturer said he does not want any devices in the classroom. He actually wants people to sit and listen. So one of the students brought a typewriter to take notes. Do you remember how loud a typewriter is? So you can imagine that lecturer being very, very absolutely annoyed with that typewriter. But that was just a slight sidebar. So Amaris, talk to us about the different schools that are coming together, especially for people who don't know a varsity college and things like that. So speak to us about the different schools that are now coming together, and if maybe there's more you are adding to the mix.
Okay, yeah, look, not more adding to the mix. I think we've consolidated a real group of IIE brands that we truly believe in. For those who are not familiar, Varsity College, I think that is a really well-known space.
My brother went there.
Oh, lovely.
Yes.
He must be a great guy, isn't he?
Conversation for another day, but nothing to do with Varsity College.
He's got a great future. Him, your brother. So yeah, we've got Varsity College.
Yes.
I think another one that you'll be familiar with, IIE Monash, which is in Reimsig down there. We've got HSM, which is our hospitality school, and then we've got our Vegas school. So all of those brands coming together under the Emirates umbrella to provide students with a unique experience, unique choices, obviously, by bringing the basket of brands together, and also a different look at what higher education can be.
Maybe help us understand between Varsity College and Monash. I mean, Vega, we all know School of all things advertising, and we know School of Hospitality and Service Management is quite straightforward. But for those who didn't know Varsity College or Monash, can you maybe chat to us about what their offerings were?
Yeah. So look, at Varsity College, a strong space for us is the psychology space, education, really good. Commerce, something that we continue to grow in, and law. All those faculties, including the ICT space, is really strong in that Varsity College space, and all of those qualifications are still available. For those not as familiar with Monash South Africa, the focus over there would be on the engineering, the water, the environmental side of things, which is slightly different and allows our basket to expand, and of course, therefore invite a diverse student cohort to our space.
So let's then talk about when the schools come together. I mean, it must be quite an interesting logistical nightmare of sorts. But what can you share with us about what it took for you to put them under one household? And I can obviously see the benefits of the shared resources and all of those things. But are there any things you can share with us that you had to do to kind of adapt and grow this new thing that has come about?
Yeah, I think firstly there's a long legal aspect to it, and I won't bore you with that. But it does bring an opportunity. I think when you bring these brands together, that were unique brands and had their own thing, bringing them together is always going to be a challenge. Our approach to that was to create a new direction, to set a new strategic intent set by Emirates, and then understanding how those brands can contribute to that strategic intent. So it's taking pieces from all of these brands, bringing them together, taking the best part of it, ensuring that we are reflective of what's the needs of society, and kind of ensure that is the direction. So it's a new space for all of our brands that fall under that umbrella, and I think that's what's exciting. It's not Varsity College trying to replicate Monash or Monash trying to replicate Vega. It's a new direction with all of these streams feeding into it.
Then in terms of the campuses that you have and the cities, talk to us about where they are, how many there are.
Cool. So we're across 7 cities, 13 campuses. We've got a new campus coming soon, which is our Sandton campus, which is going to be our flagship campus that will host about 9,000 students, which we're really, really excited about. That's down in Grayston Drive. State-of-the-art facility.
So just down the road from us here.
You're going to bump into me so often. So yeah, just down the road. That's where our mega campus will be. But we're present nationally. Here we've got campuses in Durban, Cape Town, Nelson Mandela Bay. We're about to launch a new campus over here, as well as Pretoria as well.
In terms of the being recognized, the word just left my brain. But when your certificate is internationally recognized, there's a word for that. I can't recall. What is the word?
Oh, that's accreditation.
Thank you.
Yes.
So, will now the people coming out of this, like how much international accreditation will they have? Will they be able to apply all over the world and be seen and recognized, and it being like, okay, yes, we know who Emirates is.
Exactly. All our qualifications are accredited by the CHE and DHET over here, but we also accredited by the BAC, which is the British accreditation, which means it is recognized internationally as well. So, yeah, if you are looking to move, we hope you stay and be part of the solution here. But if that's if you're that way inclined, and one of our qualifications will get you there.
All right, I want to read a WhatsApp message which says, I just want to give a huge shout out to IIE, especially their collaboration with Greenside Design Center. The level of education there is absolutely brilliant. I'm currently working in multiple design fields full time. So much of what I've learned at IIE GDC has impacted my life and work. Their focus on design as a whole is incredible. Whether you want to be a graphic designer, multimedia designer, or even study interior design, Greenside prepares you for it all. Their multidisciplinary approach really sets you up to succeed in the real world. Yes, it is a private institution and it can be pricey, but the value you get is unmatched. I've been able to use what I learned there every day, even teaching and helping my bosses at work. Okay. Thank you to everyone at IIE and GDC for shaping such a brilliant learning experience. Oh, how does it feel to hear that message?
Amazing. That's why we do what we do. Like I said, I measure my success. The institution will measure their success on that story, and where our graduates end up. So that makes me very proud, and more motivation to keep doing what we're doing.
All right, we continue with the conversation where we come back from the news, your questions and comments, 011 883 0702, and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. Time for your latest Eyewitness News headlines at 2:30. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Relebogile. A very good afternoon. KZN Provincial Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi says only the police can guarantee his family's safety. He has told the ad hoc committee probing allegations he made of police corruption and interference that he's not able to hire his own bodyguards and relies entirely on the state. Mkhwanazi is back on the stand today to answer questions from Parliament's committee members. A salesman from a car dealership in Benoni has testified that his bosses kept him in the dark around the purchasing of luxury vehicles by one of the accused in the Phalaphala matter. The salesperson testified in court that he introduced accused number one, Emanuela David, to his manager, but he did not sell any cars to him. David, along with siblings Froliana and Dilinasha Joseph, are accused of breaking into President Cyril Ramaphosa's farm in 2020 and stealing $580,000 in cash. And the Basic Education Department has confirmed that payment delays affected only teacher assistants whose stipends are not funded by National Treasury. 155,000 teacher and general school assistants across the country were not paid their September stipends, but Minister Sivuya Gwahube says assistants paid by National Treasury received their stipends on time. Those are the headlines this EWN and more at 3 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage, if you are leaving Alexandra heading towards Germiston, there's slow-moving traffic. This is on the N3 southbound between the Batlu Interchange and London Road due to roadworks. There's also slow-moving traffic if you're leaving the Joburg CBD. That's on Main Reef Road between Anderson and the M2. Otherwise, the rest of 702 land not looking too bad. No accidents have been reported on our highways. Just look out for those faulty traffic lights in Rand Park Ridge at Bayers, Nodia and the N1. Traffic lights also not working still in Edenville at Morafontein Road and Van Riebeck. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. 702. Serving the 702 family in 702 land, including those of you in Vereeniging. Vereeniging is situated on the banks of the Vaal River and is one of our most important industrial manufacturing centers in the country. Chief products include iron, steel, bricks, tiles, and lime. Several coal mines in the area supply coal to nearby Eskom power stations. An historic treaty was signed in Vereeniging in 1902, ending the South African War between the Boer republics and the then British Empire. 702. Let's walk the talk across 702 land, including Vereeniging.
To celebrate 25 years of helping you live the Premier life, FNB Premier is giving you a chance to win a 14-day European tour experience and other cool monthly prizes. Open any FNB Premier account from September to 31 December 2025. Switch your salary, swipe or tap a minimum of 2,000 Rand per month for 3 months straight. Spend and win with FNB Premier. FNB, help changes everything. TCs and competition rules apply. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and credit provider.
This is the story of our Nando's Flame Grilled Chicken, marinated for 24 hours in our unique peri-peri recipe. Kissed by fire, full of flavor, perfectly grilled. And like any story, this story of our full peri-peri chicken has two sides. Yours to choose, yours to share. Enjoy the Nando's full and two sharing meal. That's our full chicken and two sharing sides of your choice for only 277 Rand.
Zahira was tired. So tired, she let her eyes rest a bit. It was bad. So bad. She replaced 4 hours of spreadsheets with... It was bad. So bad. Too bad she didn't have Yoko Counter. It automatically recon sales, tracks stock, and staff performance. So good. Yoko Counter. Super simple POS and payments in one. No contracts, no hidden costs.
James, congrats on the babies.
Yeah, thanks. It's a wild ride.
You're a new dad, 2 babies, 0 sleep, and 1 car that apparently couldn't cope.
Yeah, the hatchback was my baby, but it just didn't have enough space for my 2 new babies.
And are you happy with the price when you sold to We Buy Cars?
Very. We've even got some extra cash to splurge on one of those fancy prams that you basically need a license for.
Good luck, James. We Buy Cars. Geared for family, geared for you.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
Professor Corne van Velbeek is a professor in the School of Economics at UCT and a director of the research unit on the economics of excisable products. Why do you believe we're not getting the tax money we should be getting from tobacco?
55 to 60% of cigarettes that are sold in South Africa are not taxed, which means that the fiscus is losing out. So each pack of cigarettes should have about 22 Rand 80 of excise tax placed on them.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show, Stephen Curtis, is brought to you by ABSA. ABSA is a proud lead sponsor of B20 South Africa 2025. ABSA is an authorized FSP and a registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
coming up
on 702 Drive with John Perlman.
702 Drive is coming up from 3 to 6 p.m. with John Perlman. John, how are you doing?
Doing well, thanks, and you. Good afternoon to the listeners.
I am doing well. Earlier, we were asking about your first 100 paychecks, which is your first 8 years of income or salary. Where do you think it all went?
Boy, that's a long timeline. I mean, I'd have to. I have no idea. I mean, not because I have no idea where it went. I don't really know the answer. I mean, I think a lot went on rent. Probably bought a car during that time. I must just try and work out what years they were. So roughly 82 to 1990.
The pub?
No.
Not the pub.
No, I didn't spend a lot of money on that. I took myself to the World Cup in Italy. Paid money
Nice.
on, even though I was working and I was doing work for a newspaper and a couple of radio stations, including 702. I paid all my expenses up front and worked the money back. So that was quite memorable. Yeah, can't really remember. I mean, never been a big spend on clothes and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Which is a shock to all of us because
Yes.
John is a fashion guru.
Absolutely.
So what would you have done
It's not all
differently?
about money.
What would you have done differently looking back?
I mean, I wish I knew more about money and what you could do with money and things that you could buy that could help you grow money by saving. I was a good saver, paid off my first bond pretty quickly, so I was quite good at that part, but had no clue about investing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's, of course,
Clocked
the
into
next
that a bit late.
level because the mattress economy is not doing quite well with growing our money.
Yeah. Well, and I bought a mattress and a bed.
The question is, did you buy a couch? And did you store money in it?
No. In fact, the very first couch I bought, I went and I looked at the couch. It took me ages to decide. I never had a couch for years. And then I drove away and I thought, you know what, I never sat in it. So then I drove back and said, I'm sorry, because I'd ordered already. I said, can I just sit in this?
I can't believe you
And it was
did
actually
that.
very uncomfortable.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but I bought it anyway. I felt bad. Not good with money, is
Oh
I
my
mentioned.
God. What's coming up on your show today?
So obviously we'll be down in Parliament. Lieutenant General apparently prefers to be called Commissioner Mkhwanazi, so let's respect that. Still answering questions from parliamentarians. Very interesting stuff. We'll wrap the day with Babalo Ndenze, our reporter, at about 5:10. Gaza-Israel peace talks going on at the moment. We get some analysis on that. There seems to be some kind of crucial moment now, but of course there are crucial moments all the time. And we don't know if this is a tipping point, but we'll clock in on that at 4:10. In a time when the economy is not doing very well, Relebogile, the citrus industry is booming. Absolutely record levels of production, more hectares under production, jobs created, and so on. We're going to find out more about that at 4:10. And then there's a boom in the gold price, but are we seeing a boom in gold mining? Because they're not the same thing. The one is just the price of the metal has gone up. But does that translate into more people being hired, shafts being reopened, investment in mining infrastructure, and so on? We're going to try and get some insight into that at about 3:25.
702 Drive with John Pullman coming up from 3 to 6 p.m.
The Masterclass with Relebogile Mabotja on 702. Brought to you by Emirates. Education for real-world ready graduates.
20 minutes to 3 o'clock, and we continue with our masterclass today, brought to you by Emirates. And we're in conversation with Dr. Andre Abrahams, who's Executive Dean at Emirates. We take your calls with your questions on 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. In terms of fusing, Dr., theoretical learning with practical learning at varsity, what is the approach you're going to be going with? Because there are, those of us that have been in the workplace as long as we have, you'll meet people who are so convinced they know, and then real life happens, and they even question if their degree or qualification was worth it, because they're like, I'm learning from scratch all over again.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I know there's a lot of students that leave the tertiary space feel like that. Our approach is twofold. When it comes to the physical space, we appreciate that the environment is part of that learning journey. And your campus has to do a few things. Your campus has to be a training ground, and sometimes it has to be a place of experimentation. Sometimes it's got to be a space where we workshop ideas, and then sometimes, and maybe you'll agree with me here, sometimes it's got to be a playground, and you're going to have some fun. And all of those things are part of a holistic student experience. But that's just brick and mortar. So you can create that environment through design and deliberately choosing how are we going to set up our classrooms. So when I set up a classroom and I want to facilitate, I must be able to move the desks and the chairs, and I'd like students to write on the wall and write on the desk and go speak to the kid in the corner and collaborate, which is not always possible in the traditional space where you've got 1,000 students sitting in a lecture hall. But for us, what's important, we've got to take advantage of that environment. They can't just put students in there and hope that active learning is going to take place. Our lecturers have to teach that way. So we're giving them the space, but they've got to make use of that space for that deeper engagement, where they can bring in their expertise. Some of them are currently working in professions, some of them are left, but to bring that into the classroom. For us, how we do that, make sure that our curriculum is not overcrowded, so that there is space for proper engagement and to do things that AI can't replicate, like proper mentoring and great dialogue and building trust. And that's what we try to do.
Open AI is listening, making notes, build trust.
I'm ready.
What are the other benefits you would say to students actually studying at a private institution like an Emirates?
Yeah, I think there are quite a few. Like I mentioned, our approach to the curriculum is different. We want to be responsive to the needs. So we are constantly reviewing our approach in terms of how are we using textbooks? How are we deciding on what should be in the curriculum? How are we translating that within the classroom? And I think that's important. I think we've got a strong academic culture, strong academic leaders who have one thing in mind. They want to give our students the opportunity for personal growth, but more importantly, we want to immerse them in that discipline from day one. So if you're coming to us and you want to be a lawyer, we want you to feel like a lawyer. We want you to start thinking in the discipline as a lawyer so that we become that training ground, and that when you leave our doors, it feels like you've got 3 to 4 years of experience once you've left us.
All right, a question from Palisa who says, afternoon, doctor. What advice can you give my daughter who is not sure what she should be studying? When will the varsity open in Sandton? So 2 questions there.
Cool. So we'll open our doors in Sandton next year, and we hope our daughter will be part of that cohort. And I think that's exciting that she's in that phase. I think my advice to your daughter would be is to research. Okay, understand the landscape that she's going into. Understand, what decisions has she made around subject choices. So what are her options? And then I think she needs to decide with, what does that career path look like? And I think importantly, from a parent's standpoint, allow your child to talk about her passions. What can she do that relates to that intrinsic motivation? So what that means is, what can she do for hours and it doesn't feel like work? What can she wake up and do at 4 o'clock in the morning and be excited about it? And then figure out, what career is aligned to that. One of the challenges that we're currently facing when we design curriculum is that the students that come into those spaces might not have a specific path, but they are interested in the concepts and the disciplines and the skills. And we're designing the curriculum to absorb those students and then give them direction. So I would suggest, do your research. I think that's really important. And then have real conversations with your daughter. What do you love doing? What are your passions? And then you have to have a realistic conversations with her. You got to remind her we are in South Africa. Okay, and what does that look like in our economy? And are you ready for what that looks like? That job that you want might not be available, and you necessarily might need to be entrepreneurial in that journey. Are you ready for that? And I think those types of conversations with your daughter is going to be really, really important, and to be supportive. And all of these institutions, including ours, have really strong career centers, really strong student advisors. The sooner you do that, the better. Ask plenty of questions. Ask the silly question. Be in that culture as soon as possible. So visit the places you're interested in, and I think that's a really good start to make a really informed decision of what you want to do going into that tertiary space.
I would also advise, Mom, don't be afraid to knock on the doors of certain businesses or companies, even if it's just a one-day experience for a young person to get an opportunity to see what it entails. I mean, I've had so many people come and shadow me in radio, in television. Some come in, are like, thank you so much. I know for a fact I don't want to do this. And then you get the ones who are like, I'm now more convinced this is where I'm meant to be. So sometimes also being exposed to the real life of whatever that industry is. And you'll be surprised how many companies use LinkedIn, DM people to say, hey, can you give this opportunity to my daughter so that they can go and just get that experience in different spaces. So I think that's quite important. We're going to take another break. More of your questions. 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
In a world where everything is instant, some things are worth slowing down for. You took the time to build a life of distinction. Every moment, every milestone, every decision. At Indwe, we take the time to understand your world and craft insurance solutions to protect it. Because true peace of mind is the greatest luxury of all. The right insurance starts with a conversation. It starts with helloindwe.co.za. Indwe Risk Services is an authorized financial services provider.
As South Africa assumes the G20 presidency in 2025, 702 and Standard Bank Group bring you exclusive conversations with the voices shaping Africa's economic future.
The G20 has really, I think, provided us with a number of platforms to be able to engage across a wide wide range of stakeholders. And I think one of the areas that this is very helpful in is around being able to engage in advocacy for an enabling environment. If we look at the task force that the infrastructure and finance task force that the group has been involved in, it's really thinking about how we can unlock capital for sustainable infrastructure development and inclusive growth. And so we have really used this as an opportunity to bring the stakeholders together.
Brought to you by Standard Bank Group on 702. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Your office is more than just a place to work. It's a reflection of your success. At Desk and Chair, we help you elevate your workspace with locally manufactured desks and a wide range of chairs to suit your style and budget. Our expert consultants are with you every step of the way, from planning to delivery and assembly. Visit our showroom in Midrand or shop online at deskandchair.co.za. Desk and Chair. Think, feel, work better.
Running a business is tough. You need tools that just work. That's why more South African businesses are switching to Mac. At iStore, we make it easy with 4,000 rands in added value when you switch. That's 3 years extended warranty and remote tech support, leaving you to focus on everything else. Switch to Mac with iStore, your expert partner. T's and C's apply. Mac at iStore. Run smooth as business should.
This week, 6 to 10 October's International Customer Service Week. Catch 702 in conversation with MTN this Friday on 702 Drive with John Perlman as they unpack how they're transforming the customer experience. From fighting fraud to simplifying services and fixing frustrations, MTN is listening, learning and making moves that matter. It's all part of their journey to make life easier for customers. Don't miss it this Friday on 702 Drive with John Perlman. MTN, today we make moves on 702.
The Masterclass with Relebogile Mabotja on 702.
Brought to you by Emirates. Education for real-world ready graduates.
10 minutes to 3 o'clock. We continue with our masterclass brought to you by Emirates. And we're in conversation with Dr. Andre Abrahams, Executive Dean at Emirates. Your calls on 011 883 0702 in the WhatsApp line 072 702 and 702. Please clarify for me, Doctor. Executive Dean academics, what's the difference between that and just an Executive Dean for somebody who didn't do tertiary?
Yeah, I think we're not trying to make it harder on you,
Yes.
but that is it is a just to distinguish me around my area of focus. So the academic part means my day-to-day 24/7 is academics.
So curriculum,
assessment,
Yes.
pedagogy, the learning environment, research, community engagement, and all of that fall under that academic environment. Yeah.
All right, we've got some questions coming through. If you can just put your headphones on. 011 883 0702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 and 702. We've got a voice note.
Hi, Relebogile and the team. My question to your guest is, do you think higher learning institutions must go for niche offering, or they need to go for brand equity, where they go for every qualification on the market? David.
Oh, David is coming in strong there. So, what are your thoughts? Niche or brand equity?
Look, I think my experience, it should be niche. I think if you try to do everything, you're going to be exposed. Our approach to how we design our qualifications, how we choose to take direction, is based on our expertise. So we can't do it all. We don't want to do it all. But we do have certain sectors that we believe we're really strong in. I can't speak for any other institution and their approach to that. But I think, key to us is that, I've pointed out that we do want to be reflective of the needs of society, and we want to design our qualifications knowing that they're going to be sustainable, that you are going to be able to work once you leave our doors, and that's what makes it niche. So we don't take a spray gun approach just to see, what's the new thing, what's the need. It's a really robust approach in terms of understanding the market, understanding the industries, understanding what our faculties can offer, and that being the pathway to success for us.
And then Paula is asking, does the organization offer bursaries?
We do offer bursaries. I think that's a really good question. We are about to launch a incentive, scheme incentive that will match a similar concept to NSFAS, which will be the first in the private sector space to do that. We're really excited for that launch. So, for anybody that's interested in coming to Emirates, please visit our website, emirates.ac.za, and look out for all the opportunities that we have in those spaces.
Ooh, you guys are coming with some serious questions here. Please explain to us, Doctor, the importance of active learning and student-centered learning spaces at institutions of higher learning.
Yeah, I think it should be the ultimate goal. Well, my opinion is it should be the ultimate goal of that higher education space because, our students are not coming there simply for the experience. It is an investment into themselves, and it's our jobs to ensure that we are that bridge between learning and action, so that when you leave, you don't just know and understand certain concepts, you can do and act. And that's what we want you to be able to do. Once we give you that knowledge, that's not enough for us. What are you going to do with that knowledge? And have you had ample opportunity to practice those skills? Skills and competencies, they don't happen by accident. There's a deliberate approach that you've got to take to develop those things in students, and you've got to expose them to it regularly. And they've got to have a chance to practice those skills in a safe environment before you get to your exam. And I think that deliberate approach is how we get active in our classes, where it's not just, in the design of what the class looks like, but the approach that the lecturer is taking in that space as well.
I know we touched on AI. Are you going to be finding a way to actually incorporate it into the curriculum? And I mean, something like a prompt engineering is now becoming a highly sought after skill. You can have two people sitting in front of the exact same AI model with the same info, but the one who asks it better will get the better use of the AI.
Yeah, it's a core part of our teaching and learning journey. Like I said, it's no longer looked at as, should we, like the Wi-Fi, like a calculator in assessment is actually part of our journey. And our approach is, when we are integrating all technology, including all our AI authoring tools, the approach is it has to enhance what we're doing, not replace. And, whenever we're investing, and we already have invested into many tools within that space, we ask ourselves really important questions. Is this tool going to help us develop really good resources? Is it going to help us adapt our learning content to diverse needs of students? Is it going to help allow students to get personal feedback immediately that I can't do if I'm teaching 7,000 students? And, is it, from a lecturer standpoint, is it going to help kind of reduce those administrative burdens? Okay. But then once we use these tools and AI creates the space and, tells you not to do these menial tasks and to focus on the core things, the focus then becomes, what do you do with the space that AI has created? Are you developing those skills and competencies now that you are not spending tons of time on admin, or you don't have to do the concept checks because students are able to do it on the LMS by themselves and they can get feedback and they can get remedial prompts. Now that we've created those spaces for our lecturers, what are you doing with that time? And that's a key focus for us.
In the Dean WhatsApp group, I'm assuming that deans have a WhatsApp group of all the universities.
If there is one, could you guys please invite me to that? I've been looking. They haven't invited me yet. I hope I can get an invite after this.
So I'm gonna task you with starting the Dean WhatsApp group. What are the top 3 topics that you think all varsity deans, let's say deans and chancellors, should be talking about? Because higher institutions, they all affect one another. It's not like they operate in isolation. What are those top 3 things that you think should be spoken about in this Dean and Chancellor's WhatsApp group, which you're going to be starting today?
I'll start it off with a meme.
Yes.
And introduce myself to them. And I'll tell you guys, I'm the youngster in the group. And there's 3 things that I think it's really important for that discussion. The first thing, I think curriculum transformation is an important conversation. I think we need to talk about the structure. I think in the higher education space, we've got a really good recipe for creating PhDs and future academics. And we also know it's a good space, if you want the job, it's a good space to start with, and the stats share that. But we also know that we've not done enough. That we've got a lot of graduates that are unemployed. We have a lot of graduates that have degrees and are going to, and are desperately doing different careers that was not the option. I know of lawyers that are teaching English, to Chinese students, which if you want to do it, perfectly fine. But it has to be a choice. It can't be that I'm just desperate and I don't have anything to do with my qualification. And I think that's really important. So I think that's important. The other thing that I think is really important for, after they hopefully give my comment a thumbs up, I would ask them to talk about, what does it mean if I talk about truly immersing our students into their disciplines? What does that mean for you? And I think that's an important part of when we talk about skills and competencies. I know, and I can speak with confidence, us academics often become academic on that conversation. And I think what's important for us is that we kind of break down that silo of rah and literature and diving into books and talk about what is our duty, what is our space, how can we really change and challenge ourselves and challenge the orthodox and the traditional and truly be a part of that societal benefit that we all promise in our strategic intents. Let's challenge each other, let's question, and let's work together.
Let's disrupt so that we can grow and evolve. Dean, thank you so much for your time. Now, start a university next year. Where and what to study is the biggest decision you'll ever make. Choose wrong and you're lost in a lecture hall with 400 others. So choose right with Emirates. The IIEs, Varsity College, Vega and MSA are becoming Emirates, making the choice simple and preparing you to be real world ready. Visit emirates.ac.za. That's EMERIS.ac.za. Emirates is an educational brand of the Independent Institute of Education.
To celebrate 25 years of helping you live the Premier life, FNB Premier is giving you a chance to win a 14-day European tour experience and other cool monthly prizes. Open any FNB Premier account from September to 31 December 2025. Switch your salary, swipe or tap a minimum of 2,000 Rand per month for 3 months straight. Spend and win with FNB Premier. FNB, help changes everything. TCs and competition rules apply. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and credit provider.
When it comes to protecting your workforce, trust the workwear brand that has been protecting workers for over 150 years, Sweetall. Sweetall has overalls and uniform solutions for every industry, so your team is safe, comfortable, and ready to tackle any challenge. Visit our new Boksburg showroom, shop A1 Atlas Road, Westwood, Boksburg, or go to sweetall.com today. Sweetall, we never let you down. Superior protective workwear since 1871.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's 3 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Mkhwanazi says he relies on the men and women in blue for his safety, and delays to teacher assistant payments have been addressed. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi is able to hire his own bodyguards and relies entirely on the police. Mkhwanazi is back in Parliament today to answer questions from committee members. ANC MP Xola Ngola asked Mkhwanazi about his safety concerns and whether he feels threatened in any way.
Are you safe? Is your family threatened and your loved ones, are they? Do you feel that there is enough protection in terms of the fracas that is going on in the country?
Mkhwanazi says while he